What up, it's Dane here. In this video I'm going to tell you how to track your body fat percentage accurately and why most of the methods they're using have massive error rates. So let's start off with the best, then we go to the worst. So the first one is hydrostatic weighing or underwater weighing, which measures how much water your body displaces. So in simple terms, how much space does your body take up? So first, it's important to realize that fat-free mass is more dense than fat, meaning fat-free mass weighs more for the same given amount. Number two, fat-free mass sinks while fat floats. The problem that we run into with most of these body fat measurements methods is that they use a two-compartment model. They measure fat-free mass and fat mass, right? So most people make the conclusion and a mistake that, man, I gained 10 pounds of fat-free mass, I've gained so much muscle, when actually they don't realize that fat-free mass is just anything that isn't fat. So it's tendons and ligaments, organs, muscle, body water. Therefore, when we use all these measurements and we track fat-free mass and fat mass, you can simply change fat-free mass just by a change in body water. Alright, so let's look at some errors when it comes to the underwater weighing. Number one is not blowing out all the air in your lungs, and there might also be air bubbles trapped in your head as well, which also will affect the results. Number two, you can't really blow out all the air out in your lungs because your lungs will just collapse. Number three, you need to estimate the amount of air in your digestive tract, which is basically in your stomach, your intestines, and your throat. And the biggest error or limitation is when we start to convert your body density, so the measurements that we got, to your body fat percentage. So the problem with this equation, and the one that most people use is the Surrey equation, is that it assumes that fat-free mass density is the same. Now, this is completely wrong because the fat-free mass density can change depending on your ethnicity. So if you're Caucasian, if you're African American, Native American, this can all change. So here are the problems when we try to track body fat for a long period of time. A simple change in your body weight can also change the density of the fat-free mass, right? So if you gain weight or if you lose weight, it could also lead to error, meaning your hydration status. So if you're taking in more water or taking in less water could result in different errors. A simple change in body weight, like gaining weight or losing weight, could also lead to error, meaning your hydration status. So if you're more hydrated or less hydrated, it could affect the final number. So let's say, for example, I weigh myself last month and now I weigh myself this month, but this month I'm way more hydrated, it could affect that final number once again. So probably the best measurement of body fat percentage overall is the 4-compartment model, right? This is where you measure the minerals, the fat, the water, and the protein. And one thing I have to stress is that it's not cheap, it's extremely expensive. However, it's really good because the assumption of the fat-free mass density is not made. So here's what it involves. Number one, you're measuring your total body density with underwater weighing or bod. Number two, you're measuring your total body water with a technique called deuterium dilution, if I can say that. And number three, you're measuring your bone mineral density with, you know what, Dexa. Okay, so to conclude, underwater weighing is probably the best method for measuring body fat percentage. Here are the error rates. So number one, for populations, right, it's probably about 0.1 to 1.2%, which is very good, but this is more than one person, obviously. Number two, for an individual, which is probably going to apply to you the most, an error rate you get is probably 5 to 6%, which is still quite high. So when looking at groups and averages, underwater weighing, good man, but when looking at individuals, maybe not so good. So next up is the bod. Now this is very similar to the hydrostatic weighing and underwater weighing. However, more factors can affect the results, like your body temperature and moisture, and also facial hair, which I still don't have. The bod is really, in my opinion, not a good method because it has error rates of up to 6 to 15%, which is absolutely massive. So in my opinion, it's not a good method to track changes over a long period of time. But once again, when you track in groups and averages, the error rate's about 2 to 5%. So again, a lot larger than the hydrostatic weighing though. So moving on to the next one, Bioelectrical Impedance, BIA, the one that we've all used, and it's probably the quickest and most convenient, and well, this is for a reason. So this just involves running an electrical current through your body, and you need to understand that, and this is crucial, that fat-free mass contains mostly water, whereas fat doesn't contain hardly any water. Therefore, when this electrical current runs through your body, there's less resistance to the fat-free mass than the fat mass. Alright, so let's move into some limitations, and get your notes out, this list might be long. Number one, the electrical current will follow the path of least resistance, just like humans, right, or the majority of them. Therefore, if you have a lot of fat underneath your skin, it will just pass straight through that and straight into the internal tissues. Just like underwater weighing, the hydration status can also affect the result of the fat-free mass, and therefore also affect the overall result. Another limitation is that the bioelectrical impedance will miss entire sections of your body, right? So for example, if you have one that you stand on, like a 10-meter scale, it will just go from one leg and then straight out the other, missing your torso. The same as you have a handheld one, you hold it, it goes from one arm straight out the other arm, missing sections of your body. Probably the biggest limitation of this is that when a bioelectrical impedance manufacturer manufactures their product, they get a group of people like this. They measure their body composition, right? Probably using underwater weighing, which we know have already error rates as well. So we have this. Now they use the people's age, weight, and gender, variables like this, to predict an equation. Now, what they do with the bioelectrical impedance, the BIA device, is they use this prediction basically to predict your body fat percentage when you're using it. Hopefully that makes sense in simple terms. So to put it more simply, you're having a compounding error rate. So hydrostatic weighing has like a 6% error in individuals, right? Now using that prediction to make another prediction to get another result, so that could even have a bigger error rate. So is bioelectrical impedance good for measuring body fat over a period of time, that you see loads of people after the gym jump on these scales? The answer is probably not. And again, your hydration status can affect the body water or the fat-free mass, and therefore impact your total results. And it's probably got an error rate of up to about 8 to 10% in individuals. Again, not group averages, which is, in my opinion, really poor. In fact, it's probably not even much better than BMI, which that's quite poor. So moving on to skin folds, probably the most popular one, right? And this one is where you take probably about 5 to 7 measurements, you put it into an equation along with your age. Now you could probably already see what the limitations are already, because I did say equation, and there are problems when it comes to equations. For example, in this case, when we use the Jason Pollock one, which is probably the one that's used the most often, this is again a prediction based on people that's 18 to 16 years and also being male. Therefore, if you're outside of this age range, well, the results are probably skewed. The Jason Pollock equation was based on white men and women, and remember what I said before is that the density of the fat-free mass can change depending on your ethnicity. So already there you can see, if you're not a specific age or if you're not a specific ethnicity, well, there becomes problems. And just like bioelectrical impedance, it's a prediction over another prediction, because the prediction with the skin fold was again based on hydrostatic weighing. So what are the results when it comes to tracking body fat percentage over a period of time? So just like the 2 compartment models, remember the bod pod, the hydrostatic weighing, there are some assumptions being made. The assumption that fat-free mass has a certain density is wrong, or it's not accurate at least, because fat-free mass can change when body weight changes. Remember also hydration status is one of them. Therefore, if you're trying to track changes over a long period of time, I probably won't really recommend tracking your body fat percentage, but more tracking your body measurements like your chest measurement and your waist measurement, and obviously just have the same person measure it, which again is a very big limitation if you have different people measuring you all the time. So what does this mean? Looking at group averages, the prediction rates are fairly good actually, where the difference is probably about a 1% either over or under prediction, whereas individual rates, again, not too bad, but an over prediction of maybe about, let's say 5%, and under prediction of about 3%. Looking at the last method, dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, if I can say that, or in simple terms, Dexa. So Dexa has a 3 compartment model, way better than 2, right? Just one more. It measures fat, bone mineral content, and also anything fat-free mass that isn't bone, of course. So how does Dexa work? Dexa works by measuring your body's absorbance of X-rays using 2 different energies. Keeping in mind that fat bone minerals and fat-free soft tissue have different absorption properties. So let's look at some of the limitations and errors that we can get. So number one is that different machines from different manufacturers can spit out different results. Even the same machine from the same manufacturer can also spit out different results. Software upgrades can also change the algorithm, which is why you should probably turn post notifications on now. And also different hardware can also change the results as well. There's also a different type of beams, so fan beam and also a pencil beam. The last limitation is the hydration of the fat-free mass, and just like the other inner two compartment models. Remember that different ethnicities have different densities of fat-free mass. Therefore, if you try to compare someone that's one ethnicity and another person that's another ethnicity or a different body type, tracking changes over a long period of time might not be optimal for this. So to conclude, when looking at group averages, again, the error rates are a lot smaller, so about 1 to 2%. But when looking at individual rates, the rates can go up to like 5 to 10%, which is massive, but probably an average of around 5%. Also, keeping in mind some limitations that can affect the results is sex, the size, and your fatness. So the last method to track your body fat percentage accurately, and this is really no lie, it's gonna be real quick, is carcass analysis. So this is basically where someone's dead and you have to cut them up alive, and that way you can measure their body fat, and that way you can also measure how much muscle they contain. So in other words, you need to be dead, which in my opinion, I haven't heard of anything or anyone really wanting their body fat percentage that bad, and I don't recommend this for anyone as well. So that's the only way you can track your body fat percentage 100%, but here's some typical recommendations I will give you. So here are my 4 top tips. If you're looking to track your changes over a long period of time, I recommend underwater weighing or skin folds. Now, when it comes to skin folds, have the exact same person do it again and again, and a highly skilled person. Also, don't worry about tracking your body fat percentage and putting your skin fold measurements into the equation. Just keep the skin fold measurements the same. So maybe every week write down, for example, let's say weight 34 inches, weight 32 inches. You get what I'm saying, right? Number 3, keep the conditions the same. Like I mentioned, the same people, the same time, fasted, you get the picture. Number 4 is stop worrying about your body fat percentage exactly. My nose is itchy, and basically just use the mirror. Be honest with yourself, use the same lighting. Probably just taking pictures is good enough. You can see if your pants is fitting you or not. You know what's going on. Unless you get to really lean levels, it's harder to tell, but basically just stop obsessing over your body fat percentage that much, right? So that's it. That's how to track your body fat percentage and all the limitations of all the methods. There's not an exact way to get it. They've all got limitations. I personally wouldn't pay that amount of money to get a Dexa scan or underwater weighing, unless, I don't know, I'm competing or something and I want to track it over a long period of time. Again, want to track it for a long period of time, do it every 3 to 6 months, and that's that. Turn on post notifications. That has no limitations whatsoever, so you can get notified for my videos. This one has been a long one. It's taken me some time to make, so I'd appreciate it if you leave it in the comment section down below. Your thoughts, video ideas you'd like me to make, I'd appreciate that. I love you. Stay positive, stay smiling, and as always, let's get it. I'll see you in the next one.